I've been there 8 months, sir.
I see. What do you think about India-Korea bilateral relationship?
I think the relationship is in a very good place. Prime Minister's visit led us to upgrade the relationship for the second time in 5 years to the level of a special strategic partnership. For us, what can be strategic about the Korea partnership isn't merely the overused word strategic, but the opportunity that Korea can fill a number of strategic gaps in our economic development strategy, which is in technology terms, in developmental terms, and in terms of appropriate technologies to meet our requirements. So that should include particular sectors of interest like electronics,
Yes,
shipbuilding,
that's right.
automotives.
They're among the top in the world.
Each of these things, they're on the top. But even on sectors that we haven't really thought about, like food processing. For instance, Korean food processing companies, some of whom came here for this Chosun Ilbo event like CJ, are among the best in the world at processing high quality, ready to cook foods, fresh fruit and vegetables, spices, including Indian spices, which some of them import, and packaged foods, fruit, vegetables, meat, etc. Add to that the fact that Korean dairy industry deploys some of the best technology in the world for milk processing.
And for India, that's very important.
Exactly, we are the world's biggest producer of milk,
yes.
but the quantum of milk that is actually processed in state-of-the-art systems is very small compared to Korea.
What is special about a special strategic relationship?
So the idea was to give it strategic partnerships. have now become like
rather
most
common.
favored nations.
Yes, MFN business.
So the point was to give extra attention to this. So in East Asia, this is one of those relationships of the three big relationships that we have that needs to get higher level attention, not from the government, because the Prime Minister already does that, but from our system. By that I include the bureaucracy, but also business and media. It's very hard to get people in India to recognize why Korea is an important opportunity.
As ambassador, what do you think India should do? By India, I don't mean just the government, but
Yes,
what do you
sir.
think the corporate sector should do?
I think the corporate sector, as I was trying to suggest today, needs to recognize that Korea is that happy trifecta of opportunity where you have capacity in terms of the bandwidth to do more in India, money. They are all, most of the major companies are reasonably cash rich, if not genuinely cash rich, and technology. So this is the perfect marriage of all three. There are only a few countries in the world which today can meet all those three criteria, and it's not in the West. And business in India has not actually logged on to that.
I see. We found out today that while there are 3.3 million SMEs in Korea, but only very few of them have been invested.
Yeah.
What do you think are the reasons?
So there are reasons that are Korea specific, which is the way the economy has grown, but there are also reasons that Korean SMEs have less global experience.
Okay.
There is a Korean government policy mandate to encourage SMEs to invest abroad. And when I say SMEs, by the way, you need to recognize that the threshold of SME is very different in cash terms, in value terms. In Korea, $1 billion turnover is an SME.
Oh, that's
is
very
a small industry. $5 billion is a mid-sized industry.
I see, okay.
By Indian standards, that's not small, not medium.
Not at all, yes.
So, Ambassador Sir, the simple thing is that our yardstick needs to change. These are the companies that have the technologies, but their traditional relationships are vertical with the existing Korean conglomerates. So these are the guys with the technology, these are the guys with the capacity, and these are the guys who actually need assistance in finding good, reliable partners in India.
So regarding partners, is it true that the Korean companies don't find enough workers, trained workers here in India?
I don't even think that is the main problem. The main problem is they don't find people who will help them get genuine opportunities in India.
Meaning?
The real worry is, look, I come to India, this is a language I don't understand, the language, I don't understand the culture, I don't know how to get business done. How do I find a credible partner?
Okay.
Sure, okay. At least in my colleagues and I, we take this very seriously in our embassy, where anybody who emails us, we do our best to try and help. To the extent that it's a reasonable proposal.
Correct, yeah.
But it can't just be that, right?
Absolutely,
So now we've set up Invest India, which should also help with that. As it grows bandwidth, that will help. The Prime Minister's directive to set up Korea Plus, that will also help. once it is up and ready. On our side, we're ready. We're now waiting for some procedural stuff to get resolved on the Korean side, and then that should be up and running. But you need structured facilitation of small and medium enterprises, because look, LG, Hyundai, Samsung, they're great companies, brilliant products, but they don't need us to help them.
Absolutely, yes.
If tomorrow a major company comes in and says, I want to put in $1 billion of investment, we'll find solutions for them.
Yes.
What happens to a $1 billion company who says, I want to come and invest?
Yeah.
That's the point.
Exactly. Okay. So, how do you see India-Korea relation in the next 5 years?
Well, sir, if we pick the opportunities on both sides, we could really genuinely be looking at the second wave of Korean investment in India. And we could be looking at the second wave of joint venture partnerships. This is not a one-way transaction that they come and put money and they sit back on the income that is made thereof. There are genuinely areas in which we can also provide value to the Korean system, including niche technologies that we are good at. And that exists in a range from defense to business processing. That includes the capacity that our IT industries have to make their industry sharper, more competitive. So it could be a perfect partnership of our being able to do what they need and they being able to do what we need.
Maybe this is unfair to ask you, but the Japanese have invested that, I think Japanese investors are growing at a very rapid rate. They also have the same problem of language and culture perhaps, like the Koreans. But Koreans is very low, 0.6%. Why is
It's
that?
partly also historic, because in the Koreans came much later than the Japanese. The Japanese have been here much longer. They came here in one big rush in the
That's a good
mid-90s.
point, Yes.
The mid-2000s, unfortunately, we've had a few
Yes. I think
big
globally, I think.
poster cases that didn't go well for us. And unfortunately, at least one of them was a big Korean name. So that happened. Second, when we could have had the opportunity in the early 2000s, we didn't. And so Korea's investment in its near neighborhood, China, Vietnam, is massive. It's rivaling that of Japan. So I look at it as in a positive sense, that there is a lot of headroom for it.
I must say that was very nice, very enlightening,
Thank you, sir.
and very insightful.
Thank you,
very
sir.
much.
Thank you. Always good to see you, sir.
I'll get to see you.
Cheers.
Thank you, sir. See you.